Hello, and welcome to Introductory Psychology or Introduction to Psychology. I am your host, your instructor, your new friend for the semester for the next 8 weeks. I am John Chansey, and welcome to the class. So happy to have you here. I will typically use YouTube or make videos like this on YouTube to let you all know what to expect from week to week. So you'll get an email probably at the beginning of the week, usually on Sunday, with the expectations for each week. I think it helps that you can see it's an online class, but I think it's helpful if you can see my face and know there really is another person on the other end of that computer who is reading your work and acknowledging you, talking to you, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm your host, your instructor, John Chansey. I'll briefly tell you a little bit about myself. I am like you. I'm also a student. I teach as an adjunct instructor here at Oklahoma State University, Oklahoma City, but I'm also a graduate student. I'm a full-time doctorate student over at the University of Oklahoma, where I study educational psychology. Educational psychology is a specific branch of the large field of psychology where we study how learning takes place, theoretically, conceptually, practically, how learning takes place. So that's what, my studies are about, using mindfulness in the classroom to facilitate learning. That's what I study currently. I'm about 2 years away, a little less than 2 years away from finishing up my doctorate, so I'm pretty stoked about that. I also teach it at OU. I teach a class for our pre-service teachers, and I also teach lifespan development at OSU OKC. So I teach about 3 different subjects currently. In the past, I've taught. I was a high school teacher. I taught psychology, on-level psychology, and AP psychology for Putnam City North High School for 3 years, while I was working on my master's in secondary education at the University of Central Oklahoma, UCO. Prior to that, I completed my bachelor's in psychology in 2011 from the University of Oklahoma. So I have a pretty broad background in psychology, and that's a little bit about me. About the course, you're in an introductory course. Introductory to Psychology is a very broad overview of the subject of psychology, which is the subject of behavior and mental processes, things that we can see, behavior, and things that we can't quite see but are very important, cognitive processes, all those things that go between our ears. So this course is a very broad overview of a lot of different topics that are covered in psychology. So you're going to get a nice introduction, a sprinkling of different topics, and most of these topics by themselves can and would be their own courses, standalone courses. For example, we cover a chapter on personality. Well, you can take a class on personality theory. I don't know if OSU OKC offers it, but I've taken it at OCCC, and other institutions offer it as well. Chapter 12 of our course, we talk about abnormal psychology. Well, OSU OKC offers a class on abnormal psychology. So if there are any topics or chapters that we covered that you're just like, whoa, this is so fascinating, I really want to learn more about this, chances are there are opportunities to learn more. So that's really cool in my opinion. This is a nice way to kind of develop your interest in the subject of psychology. So that's kind of the introductory to the course. I've got a checklist here. I'm trying to make sure I cover everything in this first video. The next thing I want to mention is it is so important, not only for this class, but any class that you take as a student, that you have access to your student email address. In the past, I've had many semesters where students either didn't know how to access their email address or didn't know how to get it on their mobile device, their cell phone. So I've actually put up a link onto D2L where it says adding OSU OKC email to your mobile device. This is a walkthrough of how to get it onto your device, whether it's a tablet, an Apple device, Android device, laptop, whatever. But you're a student, and it's important that you can communicate with your instructors, and your instructors can communicate with you. So I really, really want to emphasize that from day one, that you need to have access to your email in a convenient way, whether it's your laptop, whether it's your phone, or some way that works best for you. So please, please, please follow that link if you have not done so. I've also put up a link about my expectations for when you email your professor. I'm not asking for an incredibly formal document when you email me, but I'm not looking for like hey, what's up, teach? What did we do today? Thanks. I don't want it to be that informal. Let me know who you are, let me know what class you're from, and let me know your general question. And typically I'll respond in 24 hours or less, typically less, but give me some time. But please look at that document as well. All of these documents can be found on D2L under the content section. I'm just looking at it right now. This is week 1 content, and this is where you'll get most of your information, content, and then the video I sent you. So what I'd like for you to do if you're following along is go ahead and open up the syllabus that I've put up. The syllabus, I'm not going to go over all of it, but you are expected to read the syllabus. This class starts on the 22nd, ends on the 16th of December. My email address is listed here. I don't have an office since I'm an adjunct instructor, so if you'd like to meet, Skype would probably be the best bet for me. You just need to email and set up an appointment with me. The textbook for this course is called Introductory Psychology by Spencer Rathis, the 5th edition, and it looks like this here, except your copy I think will be blue because this is the instructor version, so it'll look different than this. But please, you need to get a copy of this as soon as possible, whether that means you check one out from the library, you buy one from Amazon, or buy one from the textbook center, that's fine, but you need to get a copy by day 1. It is vitally important. I put up PowerPoints for each chapter, but those PowerPoints are just a gloss over. They are meant for you to read over after you've read the text. My expectation is you're college students, you should be reading the text. So anyways, what I think is most important in the syllabus is the grade breakdown. For this class, we have 4 exams. The exams are all 50 multiple choice questions. They're application based. So there will be real world scenarios in which I want you to apply the terms that you are learning in this textbook. I don't really care that you know the definition of something. I want to know that you can apply it. So we have 4 exams. We also have what are known as response papers. Every week, except for a couple of weeks in the semester, I'm going to assign a video for you to watch or maybe an extra reading outside of this textbook. And I want you to respond to I have some specific questions that I want you to answer. I want you to answer, give me an overview of what you just watched, give me what surprised you, and then finally tell me how it applies in your experience, in your real life. So we'll be doing these response papers almost every week. And I have a specific handout that I posted. It's under content as well that I want you to follow. But you should be responding to those 3 questions. Summarize what you watched, what surprised you from what you watched, and then how is it applicable to your personal experiences. We do have one additional writing assignment at the end of the semester where I will ask you to find an article, a scientific article related to psychology, and summarize it. I will give you much more detail on that later. But just know that that's coming up. I think week 7 or 8 or so. And then because this class is an online class, for us to interact, I'm going to be using discussions, and we will have a discussion every week except for Thanksgiving break, I believe. So discussions will be, I expect you. I'll put up a discussion post. You are expected to respond to it. I want at least a couple of paragraphs for your response. And I want you to respond to 2 of your peers, 2 of your peers' posts. So every week you should be posting 3 things. I've posted an expectation for a document for my expectations about what you should be posting. In order to receive full credit, you need to post in a timely manner. This means your initial post needs to be in by Wednesday. Because if you get it in by Wednesday, this allows your peers to see your post and gives everybody a chance to comment on each other's. It bugs me to no end when somebody waits until the very last minute on Friday and posts their discussion post and responds at the very last minute. It doesn't offer up a conversation. It doesn't allow us to have conversations in the discussion board. So I want you to get your initial post in by Wednesday. And then you need to have your peer responses in by the following Friday, so 2 days later. That gives you a chance to post, read some posts, think about it, and respond. That is the expectation every week that we have a discussion post. Your original post by Wednesday, followed by 2 peer responses by Friday. If you can't do that, let's say you have to wait until Thursday or Friday to post for whatever reason, I'm sorry, you'll still receive most of the credit, but the highest grade that you can get is a 13 out of 15, which I think is like an 86. So it will limit you a little bit there. I want that to encourage you to post sooner rather than later. Let's see. So again, also there is a handout, expectations for discussions. You are expected to read that document, so please take a look at that. And when you're responding to your peers, I really don't want like, hey, nice post, good job, thanks for sharing. I mean, if it is a nice post, be specific. Why is it a nice post? So I want you to do things like ask for clarification if something doesn't make sense, ask for an explanation, ask for advice, ask for examples, give some general comments, that's have some substance to them. Provide feedback and suggestions with substance to it. So I will be grading you on your peer responses. If they're pretty skimpy, you're going to lose points. So make sure you're at least putting a paragraph down and make sure it is covering some general ground, some good ground. So anyways, that's the syllabus. Please take a look. That's kind of the expectations for the assignments. Again, you are responsible for the syllabus and the contents of the syllabus, so please take a look at that. Let's see. So, what else have we got here? Okay, so my expectation for week 1. I feel like I've covered a lot of ground so far for what to, the syllabus and all that stuff. So let's talk about week 1 of class. It's an 8-week class, so we have to hit the ground running, unfortunately. There's not a lot of time for relaxing and kind of easing into this class. That's the only downside. Upside is it goes really fast and you're done quick. Hey, you get your grade, you're out, and you learned a lot in 8 weeks. But the downside is that you have to hit the ground running and be ready to go. And that is my expectation for you all. I have high expectations for everybody in this class that all of you will be successful. All of you can complete the material. So for this first week, and why you need why you need your textbook, you need it now. If you don't have it now, you're behind. I hate to say it that way, but it's true. Because we're reading Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 of this week. Chapter 1 is called What is Psychology? It's a nice overview, kind of what to expect for the rest of the course. You're going to get a broad overview of the history of psychology, along with some very famous names that will pop up again and again in the course, like Sigmund Freud, Jean Piaget, Carl Rogers, among many others. You're also going to look at some different theoretical perspectives that psychologists have. Not every psychologist sees phenomena the same way. What do I mean by phenomena? I mean any natural occurrence. Psychologists interpret phenomena in a number of different ways, and it all depends on their theoretical perspective. And you can think of theoretical perspectives as kind of like the different lenses of glasses. Some psychologists have a much more optimistic worldview, maybe a humanistic. And so that might be some rose-tinted glasses, whereas maybe somebody with a behaviorist standpoint, maybe not so optimistic, or Freudian, not so optimistic. So they see this phenomena completely differently. So you're also going to take a look at how psychologists know what they know, the gathering of research process. A lot of different types of research, observational research, correlation, experimental, all have their pros and cons. So you should have a pretty good idea about what kind of research psychologists conduct after reading Chapter 1, and also the ethics that are involved with conducting research. One of the main principles that all researchers have to adhere to, whether you're dealing with humans or non-humans, and that is do no harm. Or if you have to cause harm, you have to have a really good justification why. You can't just, zap and shock and poke and prod people and things for no reason. It has to have a scientific basis, and you have to also prove that, hey, I'm trying to minimize this as much as possible. So that's Chapter 1. A lot of stuff that you're going to read in Chapter 1 is going to come back again and again and again. I think like every other chapter we talk about Freud, so it's really important that you understand the general ideas presented in Chapter 1. Chapter 2, on the other hand, is called Biology and Psychology. This is the meshing of two disciplines, biology and psychology, as it says. But some chapters will call this biopsychology, depending on where you hear it from. And this is a chapter that covers a lot of anatomy and a lot of stuff that may be familiar to you if you took anatomy, zoology, any class that basically, or maybe even just biology in general, if you looked at the cell and different types of cells and things like that. So a lot of this should be familiar, either from your high school or maybe some of your early college experiences. So in this chapter, you're going to be learning about the nervous system, from the smallest level, neurons and impulses and neurotransmitters. We'll also look at the way the nervous system breaks down even further. We have the peripheral and the central nervous system. The central nervous system is your brain and your spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system is all the nerves throughout your body. We'll also look at the different structures of the brain and their function. There are different levels of the brain. You'll need to be familiar with the hindbrain, the midbrain, and forebrain. And specifically, you're really going to need to know about the cerebral cortex. Cerebral cortex is the part of the brain that makes us humans who we are. Other beings have cerebral cortex. Other beings have brains and cerebral cortex, but human beings have the most developed cerebral cortex. It is what allows us. We are not the scariest, strongest, fiercest creature on the planet, but our intelligence is what keeps us at the top of the food chain. And that cerebral cortex, which is so developed in human beings compared to other organisms, that it's what separates us from the rest of the pack. So that's the nervous system. That's the fast way the body communicates with itself. Afterwards, you're going to switch gears and look at the slower way, which is the endocrine system. It's our hormones. It's another way the body communicates information throughout itself, but it's a little bit slower than our nervous system. And then finally, you're going to take a look at evolutionary psychology and the role it plays in behavior, heredity, and mental processes. That word may sound kind of strange coming in the state of Oklahoma. Evolution. That may bring up some emotions and memories and things that aren't always pleasant for some people in the state. But hey, we're in college. We're adults. Even if it makes you uncomfortable, I think that you should still read the material and still try to understand it. Even if you may not disagree with it or agree with it, excuse me. So you'll read about that. That's it for Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. A nice introduction of what to expect in Chapter 1, and then Chapter 2 is all about the nervous system. All about the nervous system, our biology, our endocrine system, all that important stuff. So please read through that. And as you're reading, if you have questions, feel free to email me or feel free to post on our discussion forum. And I'll be happy to respond to those. So that's the expectation for week 1 as far as reading is concerned. I have already posted a discussion post that I would like for you to complete. Get your initial post in by Wednesday and post your peer responses by Friday, 2 of them. I want you to introduce yourself in this discussion post. Tell us a little bit about yourself. If you've got a major, tell us about it. Tell us something cool you've done recently. If you have, also I'd like for you to share a picture, at least a picture, so we can put a face to the name. So it's not just some random person on the other end of the computer, but we see each other's faces and we know, oh, that's Steve, or that's Martha, or that's Carrie, or whomever. It just makes things more personal. So please do that. Please read over my guidelines for discussion or email me if you have questions about the discussion post. And then you also need to complete response paper 1. You can find that assignment again on week 1's content on D2L. I will post the video. It's about myths in psychology, some popular myths that you may have heard of coming into the class. I want you to give me a summary of what you watch. Tell me something that surprises you from what you watch, and then tell me how it relates to your own experiences. So your response papers will always come from the videos that I share. They won't come from the textbook reading, but they will come from the videos I share. So please make sure you watch the video I post and complete the response paper. I think that's about it for week 1. I promise that most videos will not be this long in the future. This one is really long because I had to go over the syllabus and things like that, but typically these videos will be significantly shorter. But I want to make sure we cover everything in this video. If I didn't cover something, you're like, oh crap, Mr. Chansey, I wanted to know about this. Shoot me an email. I'll be happy to respond as quickly as I can. Email is always a really good place to get a hold of me. It's listed in the syllabus. It's john.b as in boy .chancey CHANCEY @oakstate.edu. But please feel free to email me. And yeah, I'm going to post this on YouTube for you all to see. Excuse me, I'll post this on D2L from YouTube, and I'll send it out to you via email. And everything's up on D2L. I'm really excited for this semester to get started. I'm excited to, we are on a new journey together as noble friends. You're learning, and I'm hoping that I get to help you on this process as much as possible. So I'm really looking forward to the discussions and your response papers and getting to know each one of you throughout the semester. Feel free to respond to this email if you have any questions. All right, take care.